Hi friends, this is Angelica. Thanks for joining me here on the Greetery YouTube channel. We're celebrating the Greetery's 4th birthday, and I'm so excited to be introducing you to a few new birthday products that are in the new Hip Hip Hooray collection. This collection will be in the Greetery shop this Wednesday, April 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to start with a quick look at the new Aglow stencil set. This is a 7-piece stencil set, and there are guidelines on the stencils to help you line up your A2 size card panel. There's also a coordinating die, which is sold separately. Jumping into the project, I've already set up the first stencil, and I picked out H. Patina, Saltwater Taffy, and Carved Pumpkin Distress Oxide inks to use. Now, the first two stencils are the candles, and since the candles are spaced out pretty nicely, I was able to use 3 colors instead of 1. And I mean, you don't have to use 3 colors. I just thought it would be a lot of fun, especially since I'm a bit obsessed with this color combination that I'm going to be using. I actually used it on most of the projects that I made for this release. I'm going to finish adding the candles with the second stencil. I'm going to use the same inks, and I'm stenciling these candles right onto card bases. I'm using Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock. Like I said before, the stencils do have guidelines for your A2 card base or card panels. Unfortunately, I wasn't too careful lining up one of these first 2 stencils, so you're going to see me move the next 2 stencils around a bit to line up the details on the candles. The candles are all the same width, so if you wanted to add details to the solid candles, you easily can by moving the stencils just like I did to put them into position so I didn't go off of the candles when I was stenciling the darker colors. And I did change my inks here. I picked Spiced Marmalade, Barn Door, and Uncharted Mariner. You can see how quickly these candles come together. In fact, I have already made 30 cards with this stencil set. I used this stencil set to make my daughter's birthday invitations, and oh, they just turned out so adorable. I used the same colors on the invitations. I just added a small sentiment to the front and then the party details inside, and oh, they turned out great, and everybody loved them. So the last 3 stencils are going to be for the tops of the candles, the glow and the wicks. I did start with vintage photo for the wicks, and I thought when I went to go add the glow, that ink is still pretty wet, so if I try and do yellow ink on top of that brown, it's just going to smear. So I did put that panel aside and just moved on to the other panels and added the glow first, and then came back and added the wicks. So stencils 6 and 7 are the circles, and I just used pineapple ink from Tailored Expressions on both stencils, and the overlap of some of those circles just give a really pretty layered effect. I really like how that turned out. Okay, so I'm just adding the glows to this last panel. This is the first one that I did with the wicks. The ink dried, and you can see that the dye inks just went on smoothly on top of the Distress Oxide ink. And we are going to move on to the next product. I'm going to use the new Big Birthday hot foil to add a sentiment to this first panel, and I am using a panel here. I did do it first with a card base, and that did not work out too well. The hot foil plate embossed the inside of the card base since it got pushed really hard into the cardstock when I ran it through my die cut machine. So I just quickly stenciled out a couple panels and redid the hot foiling. I tried out 2 different positions, and my favorite position for this sentiment was on the bottom right corner. Now we're going to take a quick look at the Make-A-Wish stamp set. This is the stamp set I mentioned earlier with the 2 solid candles in it. There are detail stamps for the candles in this set, but you can also use the stencils if you'd like. The Make-A-Wish die is sold separately, and that's what I'm going to use for this last sentiment. I die cut the sentiment twice out of poppy cardstock, glued them together, and then attached them to the card base to finish the card. You can find full details on these products as well as the rest of today's product reveals over on the Greetery blog, so be sure to head over there for more inspiration. And since this is a birthday celebration, there are a few fantastic giveaways happening today and tomorrow, so be sure to check that out too. All of these products that I use today will be in the Greetery shop this Wednesday, April 26th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and as always, I want to thank the Greetery for letting me introduce these products to you. That's all that I have for now. Take care, friends.